the few that don't know, or maybe some of you, this is a brief little intro of where does the course come from. A Course in Miracles. It's not the Course in Miracles, it's a Course in Miracles. So it doesn't pretend to have a monopoly on the truth or the only way or the only way of miracles. But so here we go. The beginnings are basically concerned three people: Helen Schuckman, Bill Tetford, and I forget his first name, but Mr. Wapnick. Helen was a clinical psychologist in research at the Columbia University Medical School or Medical Center, and her boss was Bill Tetford. And they had a tumultuous department and many problems. So this was in the mid 60s, 1965. And they were frustrated and pulling their hair out. No relationships were going well. So at one point, Bill said to Helen, there must be a better way. And that statement seems to have been the inspiration for a bunch of dreams that Helen had. And then suddenly in October of 1965, she heard a voice and it said, "This is A Course in Miracles, please take notes." And she was quite startled by this and what's this voice? But she took notes, it's a shorthand, then talked to Bill the next day and said, "What the hell, what is this all about?" And she didn't know what to do with it. And he said, "Listen to the voice and take notes." And so she did for the next almost 8 years, shorthand. She heard this voice and then read her shorthand notes to Bill, and he typed it out. So they had a collaboration for amazing, because they both kept up their careers. They both were able to continue working, and then when she would sit down, and then the voice would come back, and she was a scribe for the voice, and she acknowledged that it was the voice of Jesus. And she died in 1981 today, on February 9th. So,
wow.
So, hi, Helen, you're with us. Let's see. So it took until from 1965 to 1972 for the scribing, for the downloading of this very thick book. You all know it has 4 different parts. Here it is, A Course in Miracles. It has the text, which is hundreds, 600, 700 to 800 pages long, a workbook for students, and then the manual for teachers. Then there's a clarification of terms and supplements, which include poetry and other things like that. And so it was published in 1976, and they founded their own publishing house rather than deal with a commercial enterprise. So they called it the Foundation for Inner Peace. And it was edited by this Mr. Wapnick, because it was just miles and miles of download, right? With no punctuation, no organization. So Helen and Mr. Wapnick went through after it was all sort of downloaded and edited it and then got it published by 1976. And then so here's a nice definition I found. A Course in Miracles is a self-study program in spiritual psychotherapy. It's a book that is based on universal spiritual themes. It is not a religion. It doesn't claim any kind of monopoly on the truth. It has no dogma. There's no doctrine. It talks about love and forgiveness. And most students that come to A Course in Miracles come from all religions and even no religion. The book doesn't say anything about Jesus, and it's not trying to get people to believe in God. I look at it as more experiential and it's about knowledge and truth in knowledge. And so that, if that helps, it's a psychotherapeutic path I considered a mystic path of a mind training to take us from illusion into truth. So what are the principles? What are these general, very general principles? I'll just touch on a few, and we all know them. That God is love, and that we are part of love. We are part of God. We are one with God. So when we're born into these bodies, its operating system, the body, is the ego. And the ego has us believe in duality. So God is love, is one love, no opposites, just good old pure love. The ego's love, that when we're in this body operating, surviving, living a life, there is an opposite to love. It's called hate. And there's duality, there's opposites of everything. And that is what the Course would say is not true. The truth is God is love, and we are part of God, and we are love. This is just a brief summary, okay? And I will open it up to all your reactions soon. So what do we do in this duality to remember who we are? So the Course calls it like level 1 is love of God, that we are one. There's one of us here, only one of us here. And level 2 is basically the ego based in fear, is a world of duality and illusion and non-truth. So what do we, the Course is like training the mind to retraining the mind, kind of unlearning, and then introducing new truths. So our main purpose is forgiveness, that we forgive ourselves and everything for everybody for everything, past, present, and future. That's my bottom line. I forgive everybody for everything, past, present, and future. And in return, we receive an atonement, which is sort of a merciful disappearance of the ego. And we remember who we are. We remember that we are just that connection to one love, one God, one person, and no separation between us, inside ourselves. And it's a 365 lessons are given in the Course in Miracles every day of the year. And to help us on a daily basis untrain the mind, and kind of, even at the end of the year, we go beyond words and beyond. So it's transformational. It's it's overwhelming to talk about this. So judgments and is also part of the ego's domain. And the goal is really living in peace, and that we are guided in along the way, asking for the voice of God or the example of God in human form, which would be Jesus. There is a lot of Christian terminology, but it's very redefined, that it's not the Christian religion really at all. I look at it as if Jesus had a second chance to come back and say what he really meant by the crucifixion and by all kinds of stuff that that we've grown up with in the church. What he really meant, and that, honestly, it seems there's a lot more similarities to things we find in Hinduism and Buddhism and the Tao, and even in Zen, in Sufism, and it's beautiful. So who's the greatest proponent that we all know the Course through? It's probably Marianne Williamson. And she wrote a book, right? We've all heard A Return to Love. And she writes about her impressions of the Course. And in 1982, she got her big break because Oprah Winfrey got wind of the book, and she went on the Oprah Winfrey Show and poof, it exploded, and her life and career continued from there. And 20 years later, Oprah and and Marianne reunited, and they're still talking about the course, and it's now been translated into hundreds of languages, and it's studied all over the world in hundreds of countries. And what else can I say? I'd love to hear what, if any of you have experiences with the course. Or the last thing I'll say, it's important to mention that it's called A Course in Miracles. So what's a miracle? And what does the course say about miracles? And in this kind of transformational psychotherapeutic journey of retraining, any change of perception on any level of difficulty is basically a very partial basic definition of what a miracle is: a change in perception. But miracles know no level of difficulty, so they can be truly, truly, truly miraculous, and then they can be, oh my God, I found my car keys. So anyone have any experience with the course they'd like to share, or any questions or comments, and then we'll go on to the next part. I'm opening it up to anyone. Yeah, Bill. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, done. Thank you so much, Whitney. That was a wonderful encapsulation, and just wow. And I just have to say, it was a while back, but I did spend about a year and a half with a group studying it, and like it would take a whole evening to go through a page and a half.
Mm-hmm.
It's that dense, that's that thick. There's so much meaning, and I was just astounded. So anyway, thank you so much. I really appreciate your explaining it to us. It brings back a lot of good stuff. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad. Mary Grace.
I'll jump right in. The course has really been very important to me. We had a center, the Sacred Space, in the 90s, and we had 2 classes a week, different people leading it. And for myself, I have never read the entire material, but I've attended a lot of groups where we read pieces of it and talk about it. And there is something about the energy in the words in the course that just brings me to tears.
Mhm.
When I read it, or when I hear someone read it, it just brings me to tears. So I really appreciate you bringing this, and thanks for the great introduction too.
You're welcome. Yeah, I get very verklempt myself. Always talking about the course. It's something comes through me. That's why I feel it's a knowledge, and it's an experience of something so much greater than anything I could ever come up with. Anyone else? Yeah, is that I don't know your name. Dana White? Is that your name? Dana White?
Hi there. I have experienced the Course in Miracles through the people who have been practicing it. I have my mom and my 2 sisters are both involved with A Course in Miracles. And a fellow that I had on the Myth Salon, Roger Walsh, wrote a book about the Course in Miracles.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell a lot about anything by looking at the people who practice it. And whatever it is, it was a piece of career advice a guy gave me when I was starting off. Look at the old people in the business, and if you want to be like that, then this is the business for you. And we have elders and people who mentor us, and often we don't know as much about what it is that there mentoring us on as we do about them. And I think that's important. And I saw that through the Course in Miracles. The people that I encounter who have a direct relationship with it are filled with goodness. You know, they have clear priorities about compassion and service and love and things that really make us better. And even if we don't know what it is that they're practicing, we see them. And so they're like bodhisattvas. You know, they're making the world a better place through their being, and it attracts us to whatever it is that they're doing through them. So thank you for bringing this into the group this morning. And surprisingly, I mean, I couldn't tell you very much about it, but I see the quality of being in both my sisters and my mother. And I see the various people. I see Roger Walsh, who's just a beautiful, beautiful wisdom tradition scholar. And he's incredibly gracious. So thank you again.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes, who is that?
Janine,
Janine, go ahead, Janine.
good morning. Before the pandemic, I used to attend Marianne Williamson's lecture on Wilshire Boulevard. She used to have, I think, every second week or once a month, and it's only 10 minutes from where I live. So I used to totally enjoy the lecture. And when she announced she was running for president,
Mhm.
I was one of the class about a year ago. Um, I I don't really know that much about the Course of Miracle, but many, many times I've listened to Marianne Williamson talking about it. And I should do what you did. I should get the book and really spend more time in learning. But whenever it's always mentioned with great respect. And it's also very mentioned like it's a lot of compassion and a lot of love and a lot of good things that we should all be. But thank you for the memories.
You're very welcome.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Whitney.
Yes. Oh, Olivia, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. My first experience with the course was with a course, excuse me. I went to a woman's house. It was very strange in 1984. And she greeted me lovingly at the door. And I don't even remember, I think she was a hypnotist. And it was right after my mother had died, and I was in extreme pain, didn't know what it was that was, troubling me. And she mentioned that she was a student of A Course in Miracles. And she was able, through a combination of modalities, to enable me to access my deep grief. And I was so grateful. And at the same time, she had this ginormous picture of Jesus on her wall, which totally turned me off because I was raised in a very strict environment in that regard. And there was a lot of wounding there. Fast forward, I found Gerald Jampolsky that had written this tiny little book called Love is Letting Go of Fear.
Mhm.
And that was about all I could hold, contain, or read, or even consider.
Mhm.
And I read that book over and over and over. And if I remember correctly, he opened a center up in Northern California. For healing. And it was a hospice, or is a hospice. I think he has since passed. And Debbie Ford was affiliated with him. And together they just were able to do astounding miracles with entire families around death and dying.
Mhm.
And thank you so much for bringing this forward. I have all my books still. I
Mhm.
ultimately went out and bought them, went down to Tustin. They had a center down there at one point in time, a
Mhm.
distribution center. And so it's like I've danced around this for, most of my adult life. And you and I have talked about it certainly in the past. And it's just a wonderful reminder. And I'll probably dig my book out and look at it again. It's like, can you jump in anywhere, or do you have to wait for another new year to begin?
You can jump in anywhere.
Thank you,
maybe
Whitney.
we should move forward to the videos.
Yeah, we're going to go forward now. For the remainder, Marianne Williamson has, I participate in this. Every day I get an email from her and she reads the daily lesson and comments on it. So I thought it would be interesting for us to look at one of these lessons and participate. And Tim, our magician, has, you want to roll that tape or screen share, as it were?
Sure. I will share this. The video is about 9 minutes long, but it's cut into 2-minute sections. About halfway through, there'll be a little process. So you might want to grab a pencil and paper just to write a few sentences down. And then towards the end of it, it's 12 slides total. And towards the end of it, there was a little insight that I had after crunching this all night long that I'll share. Hopefully there'll be time. So I will start this out. I'm going to share sound. We want to share the screen. Here we go. And let's see. Can you see the Course in Miracles lesson 35?
Yes, beautiful. Mhm.
Okay. All right, here we go.
A Course in Miracles, Volume 2, Workbook for Students. Lesson 35. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. Today's idea does not describe the way you see yourself now. It does, however, describe what vision will show you. It is difficult for anyone who thinks he is in this world to believe this of himself. Yet the reason he thinks he is in this world is because he does not believe it.
Okay, moving on.
You will believe that you are part of where you think you are. That is because you surround yourself with the environment you want. And you want it to protect the image of yourself that you have made. The image is part of this environment. What you see while you believe you are in it is seen through the eyes of the image. This is not vision. Images cannot see. The idea for today presents a very different view of yourself. By establishing your source, it establishes your identity, and it describes you as you must really be in truth. We will use a somewhat different kind of application for today's idea because the emphasis for today is on the perceiver rather than on what he perceives. For each of the 3 5-minute practice periods today, begin by repeating today's idea to yourself, and then close your eyes and search your mind for the various kinds of descriptive terms in which you see yourself. Include all the ego-based attributes which you ascribe to yourself, positive or negative, desirable or undesirable, grandiose or debased. All of them are equally unreal because you do not look upon yourself through the eyes of holiness. In the earlier part of the mind-searching period, you will probably emphasize what you consider to be the more negative aspects of your perception of yourself. Toward the latter part of the exercise period, however, more self-inflating descriptive terms may well cross your mind. Try to recognize that the direction of your fantasies about yourself does not matter. Illusions have no direction in reality. They are merely not true. A suitable unselected list for applying the idea for today might be as follows. I see myself as imposed upon. I see myself as depressed. I see myself as failing. I see myself as endangered. I see myself as helpless. I see myself as victorious. I see myself as losing out. I see myself as charitable. I see myself as virtuous. You should not think of these terms in an abstract way. They will occur to you as various situations, personalities, and events in which you figure across your mind. Pick up any specific situation that occurs to you. Identify the descriptive term or terms you feel are applicable to your reactions to that situation, and use them in applying today's idea. After you have named each one, add.
So
Okay.
here is the quick little process. If you could grab a pencil and paper, maybe do 6 or 7 of these or 8. I see myself as, and then feel free to include both positive and negative. So don't only make it positive, whatever comes to you. So if you could do a few of those for a few minutes, that's the process that she is giving us.
Okay, is that enough time? Would someone like to share?
I don't know who has hammering in the background. I've muted everybody.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's my next door neighbor. I'll mute myself.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay, so you've got, I see myself as insightful, caring, giving, or I see myself as sometimes, I'm sneaky or whatever. So you've got some good ones and negative ones. And she said, just mentally now, then add, but my mind is part of God's and I am very holy. So just mentally go through those that you put down. So that's a sample of the process that begins to start to shift your mind from what we might call the small mind over to a more universal or divine way of looking at it. So we'll continue if that's okay, Whitney.
Please, go ahead.
Okay, there we go.
It is as though there are two parallel universes. And both of them feel very real. One is the world that is made by the ego mind. The body's eyes give evidence to it. And within that realm, nothing is ever really perfect except for a minute or two every once in a while. Somebody's always doing something that you wish they hadn't done, or you wish they do something that they haven't done yet, or you didn't get it right, or I mean, there's always something to stress you out. And that's what we're taught is the real world. And then our emotions are tied to that. And within that world, I'm victimized, or people are nice to me, or I'm the good guy. You know, and I love how this section says, hey, listen, no different. I'm the good guy, I'm the bad guy. It's all the same machinations of the ego mind. And then there's another world. And that other world, A Course in Miracles says, is actually the real world. But living in this world and trained by the thought system that dominates this world, which is the thought system of fear or ego rather than spirit. We think the realm of fear is the real world when it's the real with a little r, and we think the realm of spirit is unreal, like fantasy or something, when it's the ultimate reality with a capital R, although your body's eyes can't see it.
So we thought it would be a point of group discussion here. If anyone wants to share anything regarding these two parallel universes and a real world, and I will, let me stop the share here for a second. Get back to, so we can see each other for a minute, then we can continue.
I will say that realizing that there's two things going on, and for me, a great bridge between the two is the function of forgiveness. That if I see myself as negative, I'm forgivable, and in receiving the result of that forgiveness, the grace or the atonement or mercy, is that I'm opened up to a new love and a new innocence. And that the Course in Miracles is very strong in saying we are sinless. There is no sin. And guilt is also a machination of the ego. And so that's what I wanted to contribute. I'd love to hear from any of you of doing this exercise.
What was the quote in the corner of the screen? It said, the ego seeks to divide and separate, and spirit seeks to, and then it was masked by something.
Unify and heal.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have other points to discuss. Dana, did you have your hand up? No, okay. So we have a few more slides, and I'll just go ahead then, if that's all right. And let me get to share screen, share sound. Let me grab this guy. We come back to here. Okay, share. Here's where we were with the two parallel universes. Okay.
So a lot of this course is about owning your power to declare, to cut through, to get to the point, and I think we do get to the point in life where I'm not getting anything out of all this suffering. I really, there's no investment for me anymore. You really begin to see in life how much you're sort of invested in the drama of it all. And when you see how even when it works, even when the drama is your win for a minute, it's always temporary somehow. Either nothing's working or it's working, but then it might stop working. So you're still in the stress. You had like 5 seconds of happiness and then, oh no, what if it goes away? Or what if they find out not, or whatever. And then doing the course, you say, you know what? this isn't even my ultimate reality, and I want inner peace. And you begin to realize that inner peace does not come from, if only they said the right thing, if only they thought the right thing about me, if only they hired me. That's not where real peace comes from. That's not where inner peace comes from. And that's what this course is teaching us. You realize that your mind is not of this world. The Course in Miracles says, everyone on this earth at some point or another has felt like you're an alien here. And that's because you are. This world of the physical senses, the 3 dimensions, is not the ultimate spiritual reality of life. And it is in that ultimate spiritual reality that you feel your peace. And then instead of looking to the things of the world to get your peace, you see your ultimate spiritual reality is what you're bringing to the world.
Okay. Okay, let's see.
So you know what people say about coming from love, that as I think it was Levita pointed out, the guy that wrote the book Jan Polsky about love is letting go of fear. And Marianne Williams always says, there's only 2 things. There's fear and there's love. You're either coming from fear, which is usually based in the ego, or you're coming from love, which hopefully is from God or source or whatever word you want to use. Nobody's got a monopoly on language. So I guess in my recent meditations, I've and others I have heard talk about this, that I can experience this enormous love if I'm open to it and I ask for it. And it's so powerful, it overtakes me. And I realized that it's a muscle. It's sort of like lifting weights. I can call on love, and it's gifted to me, and I can come from love, and it's huge. That's, for me, it's been huge. So I wanted to share that. And I've been studying the course for about 12 years with a weekly group, and we go and meet in a house now. We meet on Zoom. And as others have mentioned, you pore over every paragraph, almost every word, and discuss. And what we don't do is a lot of spiritual bypass. I want to make that very clear, because the psychotherapy part of co-studying and working this through with others is going through our ownership of our ego's domain, of our emotions, our drama, our traumas, our joys, all that, what we call life here. And we go through the full experience of it to basically release it. And that is the opposite of spiritual bypass, where we just say a lot of flowery words and, we're all in love and isn't this sweet, and it's bullshit, it's just a bunch of hoo-ha in my opinion. So there's something also I want to point out, that there's something called right action. So it's like, we want inner peace, and we want the love of God, and we want to be in this lovely universe and not the negative universe. Well, those are lovely words, and yet we live a life, and there is action to take, and what we do in our life. And so if someone's having a heart attack or whatever, we don't just say, we'll just call on a miracle from God and he'll, get over the heart. No, you call 911, you get an ambulance, you go to you have to do the defibrillation or whatever it's called to, you do what's right in front of you to do. And that's sort of common sense. And if there's a question, I don't know what's right to do, what to say, where to go, I can ask source, higher power, whatever you want, Holy Spirit, Jesus, or whatever you want to call that language. You can ask what is the right thing to do, and humbly listen for a voice to guide you. And
Whitney, we have just a couple slides to go, and then maybe we could just open it up in general, if that's all right.
Absolutely, yeah.
I would like
Okay.
to also let you know, Whitney, you have 10 more minutes.
Oh, okay.
All right, let me go back to sharing. You can see the finding inner peace slide, okay?
Beautiful.
Okay, here we go.
My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. That's who you are. And knowing who you are, making that shift in self-perception from body identification to spirit identification is your key to inner peace. I'll see you tomorrow.
So I just wanted to, this is the last slide before the end, and I just wanted to share a little insight I had. When Danielle was talking about seeing the trees and there was that opening, every now and then we get an insight. It's kind of like the ground cracks or something and we see through. And working with this thing all night, it was, you know, because I had put this together all night, it was going through my head. And at about 4 this morning, this kind of insight came, and I just want to share it about the Course in Miracles. And what I sort of, the title was the Rosetta Stone of religions. It was in a hypnagogic state when I woke up. Dana was talking about the value of dreams, in that when you just wake up, you're in a hypnagogic state, you're halfway between, and sometimes you get some really nice insights. So this is what came. All night long, I was thinking about my mind as part of God's, and I am very holy is the statement that we are to make. As I thought about it, I believe you need to experience that, or it can become the ego mind trying to deal with the mind. Ego will try to claim everything for itself, including holiness. In the East, they call this spiritual materialism. You can understand something intellectually, but that is very dry. You need to experience it. What I believe the statement is pointing out is that at the level of God's mind, there is natural holiness. So what is the level of God's mind? It's Christ consciousness if you're a Christian. It's Buddha mind, pristine mind, or enlightenment if you're a Buddhist. It's self with a capital S in Advaita Vedanta if you are a Hinduist, and it's merging with God if you are a Sufist. What is holiness? It is a state of pristine mind you discover through direct experience to be your true nature. This is mostly done through meditation when mind thoughts calm down, so surface waves of thought don't obscure the ocean's depths. When conceptual thought dies down, you are no longer in the past or future, which is thought, but you're in the present. Yet the present isn't it yet. The present is a doorway through which you enter into the timeless, expansive awareness that you are free of concept. Then what you discover is you are love, you are compassion, you are loving kindness, you are healing, you have touched the mind of God, you are the mind of God. And I'm going to read a short account of Punjaji, who was a saint in India, who was working with a woman talking about ego and spirituality and divineness. She said, I want to be enlightened. And he said, who wants this enlightenment? And she looks, she goes, it's the ego. He said, where is the ego arising from? It must be arising from somewhere. Where is it arising? To find this out, don't think, just see. She said, it's conditioning. It's the I. She said, what's before the I? Go to the point before the I. She said, it's huge, vast. empty. And he goes, wonderful. Now get rid of that. What do you see? She said, light. He said, get rid of that. What do you see? No boundaries. Very good. No boundaries, no light, no space. All these concepts are over. This is without boundaries. There are no boundaries. Now speak from here. And she said, it's space. It keeps expanding. And he says, go on, keep expanding. Everybody is touching everybody. All the colors of the rainbow are running together. For millions of years, you have searched for this beauty in all directions, but you could not find the right place. You had lost it. Now you are expanding in all directions as it is. Beautiful. This is love. This is beauty. This is what you are. You are always that. Give full value to what you are. It is always as you are. This is what you are.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, it's so beautiful. The end.